G'day everyone and welcome to Junior, the 1995 classic starring two of our favorites,
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Schwarzenegger.
and Danny DeVito.
Yes, it's a great film, and we watched it last night with one of our friends, Tim. He did not enjoy it.
Oh, neither did I.
Well, I actually didn't mind. Okay, I will say, I've heard about this film a lot. Like, I don't know, I've listened to a lot of podcasts and seen a few reviews, and all
Because
of them
everyone
are,
brings this up, because it's
a classic. It's a classic bad movie.
It's bad. And I didn't find it enjoyable at all.
This is where I was surprised.
Despite its weirdness.
So everyone brings it up and is like, don't watch it, it's not good bad, right?
Yeah.
I myself, I got through it. When I got through it. I'm not suggesting it to go watch it, but I didn't find it as taxing on my time or my mentality to actually sit through and watch. Like, maybe it's because I was taking notes that I was like, oh, that's okay, that scene makes sense.
You were paying a lot of attention. I was bored.
You two fucking hated it.
I sat through Theodore Rex and it was bad.
I hated Theodore Rex.
But this was dull.
I did not mind this film as much.
It didn't seem to... It wasn't... I couldn't figure out, is it meant to be a comedy or a drama?
Yeah.
And that was the problem with me. It's like, it seems like it's a setup for a comedy, and I think it is, but the jokes are all bad. Like, the main joke that it's Arnold Schwarzenegger and he's pregnant and becoming a woman.
That's funny. There's potential there. There's potential there.
But they take it seriously.
That's the problem. That's the core problem. That's the crux of this movie, is that they take this stupid funny premise
when
and
they
play it
don't
serious.
take it seriously, they do it terribly. Like, him becoming a woman is strange, because at the start of the movie, he is this robotic, super serious, sort of stoic German scientist.
Yes.
He gets injected, and even before he becomes pregnant, he is having nightmares about babies.
Yeah. Should we start off that maybe explaining a little bit of their origins?
Because I don't really understand. Well, the origins.
There's not much. It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well,
he and Danny DeVito are doing research into.
Actually, it's totally really him.
Yeah, Danny DeVito's helping.
Danny DeVito's funding it.
No, I think he's helping in the lab too.
Okay.
But
monkeys.
They're trying to create a fertility drug that'll help women get pregnant and stay pregnant.
Fairly noble, you know?
Yeah.
There's nothing...
Sounds fine.
Yeah.
They get rejected.
Well, by the FDA.
They get rejected by the FDA, which I was like, well, you just go and, play around with the drug, which seems to be what they were planning to do. But the university kicks them out.
Yep.
Because they want to do...
This other chick.
The other chick's
I think.
Research. Which, do we ever find out what Emma Thompson?
Yes.
What her research is? We know it has something to do with eggs, like women's eggs.
It's about implanting eggs in other women, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. It's like implanting eggs in other women, and when she has all her eggs, she calls it the dairy market, which, like, as Tim pointed out, and we all said dairy market, that doesn't make sense. And he said it should be the poultry market, it's eggs. Why the fuck would you call it the dairy market?
I think it was dairy section, but
dairy section?
Yeah.
That's so stupid. Why is it the dairy section? It's not the sperm.
I don't know. That would have made more sense.
The sperm would have made sense as the dairy section. That drove me nuts.
That drove you nuts?
That's what I'm nitpicking on. But
he becomes... He gets impregnated. And
they're just jumping so much. So what happens is they get kicked out from the university, and by the university head guy or guy who's in charge of that section. He's meant to be the bad guy, but he's not really.
He just seems kind of reasonable the whole way through, except for the whole weird "we earn you and your unborn child" thing.
Yeah, and then they get this other Emma Thompson in. I can't remember her character's name.
The clumsy doctor.
The clumsy
doctor. Her main characteristic is she is
clumsy,
ridiculously clumsy.
It was horrible.
Like,
it's the worst character.
She belongs in the Naked Gun trilogy.
She's a great actor.
She should be in that.
That
level of clumsiness.
I really enjoy her as an actor and hated her character.
All their characters were terrible.
So so they get kicked out, and then of course Danny DeVito convinces Arnold Schwarzenegger that
because he's still trying to sell this product.
Yeah. He's in debt, I think.
Well, he's sunk $300,000 into making this drug, which now looks like it's going to lose its funding and stuff. So he desperately wants to sell it. So he convinces Arnold to inject himself with the drug.
I liked that scene where they were talking about he's trying to convince Arnie to do it because they're in an airport, and I pointed out I thought it was like, oh, these extras are screwing up by like paying attention. No, it's actually an important. They're listening in and hearing Danny DeVito be like, what we're gonna do, we're gonna put a baby in you, and then your baby's gonna be our baby.
I just need to go, like, the mechanics of how a man has a baby in him and it grows normally.
You could not get past
They don't explain how it works.
He grows a womb. He becomes a woman. He doesn't just grow a baby.
Where does the womb come from?
He grows. That's the really weird thing, and it talks about it later on.
Because I don't think he grows a womb.
No, he does, because he's actually transitioning. They talk about this.
No, he takes female growth hormones. He takes female hormones, but he doesn't grow a uterus.
To transition.
He doesn't have a womb.
No, to transition.
Yeah, but that just like
somehow it grows him a womb.
But he should be growing like breasts or something. But he doesn't.
Right?
How does he get a
Bring
womb?
Him the fake tits.
But they don't inject it into a womb. They just inject it into a gap in his muscles.
Into his abdomen.
Yeah.
Because they specifically say abdomen.
You've got a gap in between your intestines. I think you could grow a kid there.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
So
that's how science works in this weird universe.
Then we just fast forward. Oh, actually, I did forget. There's an important scene with Emma Thompson. Her introduction
they have a love at first sight sort of thing.
Well, sort of. More like sexual assault.
Oh yeah, he captures her. He catches her after she
clumsily
almost destroys the lab when she enters. And she immediately kisses him twice and mounts him. Yeah. Well, accidentally, but still.
I don't like in scenes where they do that, because to me I'm like, yeah, thanks for fucking like sexually assaulting the person who just saved you.
It was a little odd.
He didn't want, like, it wasn't like he's like, oh, she's beautiful, I also want. It was just straight up, she's like saved, and then she's like, oh, I'll just kiss him twice.
And then knees him in the balls as she's getting up because she's clumsy.
She's clumsy.
So clumsy.
No, it's just the clumsy joke was horrible, and that's the entire gag. So
multiple times throughout this movie, she is shown being just incredibly clumsy. One scene opens with, we don't know what's happening, but you're at a restaurant, and this group of people you've never met before are sitting around eating dinner, and there's this lobster claw right in the middle of the table. The waiter comes over, apologizes, picks up the lobster claw, and walks across, and that's where we find Arnold and Emma Thompson, and it's obvious that at some point she's thrown the lobster claw across the room, and that's how the scene starts.
That was really weird. It was weird because we were like, what's going on?
Yeah, we were confused. We're like, is this confused. A different movie? Has something gone wrong?
Now, we did forget something important before we move on.
What?
Danny DeVito, to get the egg, he actually steals it from her collection of eggs, and one of the egg jars is called Junior.
And he decides to take that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she also allows them, for some reason, to continue their research.
Oh, yeah, she feels bad for displacing them.
So they can
she gives them a little bit of a side lab to do that thing.
So, I guess Arnie is impregnated. I will say
they impregnate.
And then it skips forward 4 weeks.
Yeah, and apparently he's been having morning sickness.
For a month.
Already. At least. Every morning throwing up, although that's the only time you see him having morning sickness.
Which means he just got morning sickness straight away.
But he is becoming not only pregnant, but a woman.
Yes.
Which means his transition from the stoic male scientist to an over-emotional, sort of almost hysterical person.
Oh yeah, he loses all his senses.
It is... I think it's kind of offensive almost, the stereotypical womanly behavior he starts to put on.
This is what I said too.
The stereotypical pregnant woman. Like every
woman in this movie
every stereotype you could imagine for like a pregnant woman. Like he's eating lots, he's crying at ads.
It was really weird because what I mean by every woman in this movie I hated, that's why I feel like I'm like, this is really bad, this film. Because it's like all the women are just terrible. They're all terrible. They're all clumsy or horrible people. And then he's going to be a woman too.
Yeah, there's the whole thing with Danny DeVito's ex-wife, which is just, I found very strange. There was no comedy in that whole relationship.
I just thought it was a really weird dynamic of like, oh yeah, women complain a lot, says the guy, until a guy becomes a woman, and then he's like, oh, yeah, women are silly and they complain a lot, but it sucks, so I understand them now. I was like, this is a really weird...
the message, I don't know what the message was.
That's what I mean. Like, I was like, is this offense? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were trying to be like, yeah, it's because they should have gone with more of a comedy angle.
It's originally Danny DeVito and Arnold are just planning to inject him for just the first trimester and then abort the baby. And all he has to do is stop taking the drugs to abort the baby.
Take over.
But yeah, he becomes emotional. His motherly instincts kick in. As explained later on, everyone has has motherly instincts.
Actually, we should point out too that Arnie, before this, is a little screwed up in his dream sequence.
Well, it starts off with him having a nightmare about babies. So he's already got a weird baby issues.
And then I think once he's been injected and everything, he has another dream sequence.
That has to be, early on he has a very strange baby dream where his baby is brought, I'm sure it's on the YouTube or something.
I've seen it multiple times.
The baby is brought up to him. He looks at it and it starts screaming. What is it like?
Mama!
Mama! And it's Arnold's face on the baby.
Fully projected on the baby.
I've seen that before, and honestly, I find that kind of funny.
It's funny.
It's the weirdest shit ever. That is kind of funny.
Yeah. That was fucking funny. And also, there's another scene where he does this one about my nipples.
Is that the nipples?
The nipple scene was funny.
He starts complaining to Danny that, my nipples are very tender.
Yeah, sensitive.
Yeah, very sensitive.
And other people come in with suggestions, and
it's pretty
funny.
Apart from the whole baby thing, Arnold comes off as off. Like socially, he's very off. Like, he just talks out in public about these weird things he shouldn't. Yeah. He doesn't seem to... It's like he's a bit on the spectrum.
Well, later on, he actually says that, like, oh yeah, he's like a crazy guy. I'm helping out to, like, pretend... And everyone just is like, yeah, he is.
He comes across as crazy. And even though he heard Danny call him crazy, he doesn't dispute it or anything.
No.
And he acts crazy.
But that's how a woman would act.
Oh, like they're semi-retarded?
Yeah, basically. That's what basically happens. If they have a baby, they just lose all sense, all professionalism, everything.
But as he's talking about his nipples feeling tender...
that was funny.
Two bystanders come by and just like, oh, are you surfing? That can happen. You got to get a rash top. The other's like, oh, you got to change your soap.
This is the important point to point out. So these actual comedy scenes were funny. Unfortunately,
there's like 3 of them.
There's about 3 or 4 of them
in a 2-hour movie.
And this is what confuses me, because it's like it feels like it was written by someone who knew comedy, but then at the same time they're like, oh yeah, other films like 3 Dads and a Kid, or
movies we haven't seen.
Other movies like that where it's like they're a lot more serious takes, or look who's talking. It's like, oh, it's kind of got this crazy angle, but at the same time it's a lot more serious. Right? They were like, yeah, we should copy that. It's like, no, you shouldn't. You should go Rob Schneider level, like crazy, like funny. But you should not be... What they decide to do is take a serious angle on women's...
rights?
No, it's like...
My body, my choice, Jared.
Well, they take a serious...
That is a line Arnold yells.
They shouldn't have
after throwing someone across a room.
Yeah, they should have taken a serious angle on women being pregnant and how it feels to be a woman being pregnant. And so that's one. And then another one's like being divorced and trying to find love. It's like those 2 things.
Yeah, because Danny DeVito's character has an ex-wife,
but
who they've only recently divorced.
But
so 7 weeks before they were still together, I think.
Oh god, that's fucking weird. But the thing is, though, what I mean is, like, this movie shouldn't have tried to tackle, like, yeah, being a woman is like really hard when you're pregnant, and then you're like single, and the world, like, there's issues and everything. Yeah, that's like for a serious movie. Not if you go, yeah, but we'll also have it as Arnold Schwarzenegger dressed up as dressed in drag. It's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't be that serious. We shouldn't be that serious. But they were like, yeah, let's just treat it seriously.
Yeah.
Why would you treat that seriously?
That was my problem with the film. Like, a lot of it was serious, but they didn't do it well, so it's just boring. There was no drama or anything.
Because Arnold Schwarzenegger is in drag.
Section. I mean, it's a 2-hour film, and it's gone out of my head completely, except for like 2 or 3 scenes.
You didn't watch it like me. I took notes.
It's because there's nothing
good old
there.
4 pages of notes.
It's a lot of nothing.
We forgot the jar of cum.
There's a tiny bit with
There's
cum.
a tiny bit.
Get it?
We did reverse it to make sure my friend was correct. There was a scene where... Well, actually...
Well, they have to impregnate the egg, so they get Arnold to make a contribution, which he
Yes.
hands off to Danny DeVito.
Because we did see previously that Danny DeVito has a well-stocked porno collection.
Very well stocked.
Very well stocked.
Well, he's running a fertility clinic.
It does make sense. It does make
Makes
sense.
a lot of sense.
It was just slightly funny. And he comes out with a good old jar of his cum and he goes, "Wow, what a great load!" And you're just like, that was unneeded. Was
that for that scene or was that for a different scene?
I think he does another one for like the pee jar scene.
Yeah, that was really weird. Arnold has to pee into a jar for him, and it's like cloudy apple juice, like a liter of cloudy apple juice.
Yes,
which was just weird.
And let's talk about then. Yes.
Well, with the ex-wife.
We'll go. So there's two stories. One of them's Arnold Schwarzenegger getting pregnant and falling in love with Emma Thompson.
Yeah, and she's just surprisingly okay with everything.
Yeah, because she's fucking.
It turns out she's also unprofessional. Like what Arnold and Danny are doing, I'm gonna guess is illegal, or at the very least like incredibly unethical.
It's on themselves, kind of. Apart from the egg bit.
Well, they don't know whose egg it is. Arnold really wanted an anonymous egg.
Yes, which
Danny takes it from Emma Thompson's research, and it turns out she has also been unethical. And because she kind of wanted kids, she decided to use her own eggs for the research.
Yeah, which means some surrogate parents are going to get her kids, and then she's gonna fucking like claim them as her own.
Well, she'll know who it is.
Yeah, that's fucked.
But it turns out Arnold has accidentally used her eggs.
Yes.
Which leads into a whole
love
it's
thing.
his body, but it's her kid as well.
And it felt really weird.
The whole thing was strange.
So that's his story. And then we'll go to...
And they're also trying to keep it all undercover because they don't want the university to find out.
Yeah.
Because they will obviously all get into a huge amount of trouble.
But there's
how are they going to publish their research?
I don't know.
Because they've sold it to the company already.
Yeah, they have. They were selling early. DeVito's all seeing money signs.
Yeah.
And DeVito's story is, yes, he's doing that with Arnie.
Yeah.
He's invested in everything. But the other side of him is he's running this clinic, and this is a very weird scene. He's at the point we don't know. So it's like this woman comes in. Turns out it's his wife.
Ex-wife.
No, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
So it's just like his partner comes in. That's all we know. And he's like, "Oh, I'm pregnant." And he's like, "Oh, that's awesome."
He seems super happy with it because apparently they've been trying to conceive for years, but that he hasn't been able to.
Yes.
But something about his seed is wrong.
Yeah. Which
they thankfully don't really go into that much.
So then it's like, she's like, "I'm 7 weeks pregnant." And he's like, "Oh my god, it must have been here." And she's like, "No."
But that's the only time we had.
And then he's like, what was it then? And she's like, "Oh, Aerosmith."
The band Aerosmith.
The band Aerosmith did it or something. And you're like, okay. And then he's kind of mad. And then he's like, "You're my ex-wife." And you're like, "Oh, well."
So but it was only very recent. So sometime between 7 weeks.
Yeah, but they are broken
they got
up.
Divorced.
They are divorced.
Well, no, they were sleeping in different rooms, but they weren't divorced.
No, they were divorced.
Yeah, but they were still living in the same house.
No, but they were divorced when she had sex with this other dude.
I don't know if they were.
I'm pretty sure so.
I don't think they were.
I'm pretty sure.
Because I don't know. Their whole... But she... Not only is she having a kid with someone else...
But now she wants him to deliver
She wants him to be incredibly involved.
She wants him to deliver it. That's fucked.
That's goes over to his house.
Could you imagine doing that?
And is like, basically like, when he's not there, she goes over there and is like making herself lunch and stuff.
Could you imagine how much that would fuck with this? This guy's entire life is about getting, like, helping...
He's desperately wanted to have a kid with her, and now she's come in and is having a kid with someone else.
And he's like, "I want you to now fucking deal with it."
Yeah.
What the hell? Because that's what his entire life is about, getting couples pregnant.
Yeah.
Right? And he's tried for so long to get pregnant with her. It doesn't work. And then she divorces him because it's not working. And then she gets pregnant. I don't know if
she divorced him, but it seemed mutual.
I'm just so shocked. She gets pregnant and then straight away comes to him and goes, now
you've got to look after it.
You've got to look after it. It's like, what the fuck?
Because they end up together at the end of the movie.
Oh, that's
which
so
is
bad.
Just odd.
Just because, you know what, and why? Oh, because it turns out the dude who did actually
it turns out Danny is completely okay with raising someone else's kid with a woman he divorced. Like, there must have been some other problems.
And it was some PT who trained Aerosmith, and she was like, yeah, he just sent me some flowers and said good luck. So that's why I'm with you, Danny. It's like, what?
You couldn't get me pregnant, but you're a good guy and you're rich.
Yeah, why isn't Danny like, no? How much better
that whole thing was very strange.
It would have been a far better story if she was like finding out about,
I was half expecting it to be like a lighthearted thing where it turns out it actually is his kid, but she just didn't want to tell her. Like, that would have been bad as well, but that's the sort of thing I was expecting, not... No, it just is someone else's kid. It is okay with that.
God, I did not like her.
Yeah.
Because she always came over. He had his own place, and she would literally just turn up. It's like, you are divorced from him. He doesn't, you two aren't together. You don't live like, they are specifically, at this point, they do live in separate places. But she's turning up eating his food and is like, I'm fucking other dudes, I'm getting pregnant by other people, and I'm gonna live here and eat your food, and then you're gonna raise my baby.
Well, it isn't that bad.
What the hell?
Okay, it isn't that bad. Like, they do seem to get along, but...
But you see what I mean? Yeah. None of the female characters are any good. They are all terrible people.
Well, Emma Thompson's not terrible. I think she's just so clumsy.
I know, I honestly think
incredibly irritating.
That ethical break of like implanting other people their eggs so that she could have a kid.
I know, these are all terrible scientists.
That is so fucked up.
So they've been trying to fly under the radar of the university while at the same time they're trying to sell it. So I don't know how these people all work together. But the university guy pieces it all together because he's not a complete idiot.
Yes.
He's not blind. He can see that Arnie is now like 7 months pregnant. And Which Emma Thompson hasn't realised. She's been trying to have sex with him.
Oh, yeah.
And she just thinks he's got a little tummy. Oh, what was that line that I did like from her? Arnold's like, do you hate me because I've gotten fat? And she goes,
my God.
No, actually, I was madly in love with my cousin for a couple of months, and he was quite portly.
Yes.
What was that?
What the... Yeah,
she has I wrote it down. I want her backstory.
I was madly
Before she came to America, I want to see a movie of that, where she's trying to date her fat cousin, and she's implanting her eggs in other people.
Who the fuck wrote in cousin? Why? Well, you just have to take out the one word. It's like, oh no, my ex, I was madly in love with him, and he was quite portly. He was a portly gentleman. That's fine.
No, it has to be the cousin.
Or maybe like pick like a famous like fat portly person, and you'll be like, yeah, ha ha ha, get it? It's like, that's fine. No, it has to be my cousin.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Yes, there's just a lot of... And that's the thing too, so unfortunately the giant bit of the middle of just him sort of transitioning, but not really, and sort of having sort of pains, and then doing all this... It's not very entertaining, and there's not really much drama. It's more just
we're talking about the best bits... But there is just a lot of nothing in this film.
I do think in one scene I felt like he fucked DeVito's wife, or ex-wife.
What, when?
Well, it was after that portly scene. Is DeVito's ex-wife then bursts in?
No, they have... Yeah, and that leads into the pregnant women eating scene. Eating so much food.
It was Arnold Schwarzenegger explaining that because he's pregnant and at this stage...
He's incredibly horny. He's horny all the time.
He's scooping out the middle of a melon and gets a
stifle.
A stifle.
A stifle.
And then Emma turns up, does the portly cousin thing, and they start getting on. But then Danny DeVito's ex-wife comes home, and she runs off, Emma, and Arnie and the ex-wife start getting on with cooking. They're like, yeah, we'll cook. So he starts cooking and eating a lot because pregnant people, they eat a lot of food.
They've got mounds of Chinese food and spaghetti, and they're eating buckets of ice cream with chicken wings.
I'm just taking everything this movie says as gospel.
Oh yeah, that's how women act.
I really felt like, I was like, it just cut on it, and I was like, they fucked. Because the whole
Where did you get that
Because
from?
the whole scene before, he's explaining how, because he's this pregnant, he just wants to have sex all the time.
I think you enjoy this movie because you were like reading between the lines really hard.
Because she's at the same point as him, and now they've just had a good feed, and they're home alone together, and all he's talked about beforehand was how he wanted to have sex. I reckon he banged DeVito's wife.
Okay, I think you're just pulling that out of the air, but okay.
Yeah, and
Sure.
so now we have just a few more scenes of Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
And
Well, the
Arnold.
university guy finds out. He
Yeah.
comes to confront them in the lab, which is where we get the my body, what is it, my choice sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because the university guy believes that he owns his body and the child.
Yes.
Which is he's pretty happy about the fact that they've done this, which seems illegal, but
yeah.
He tries to arrest them with his security guards.
We also have a very awkward, and they run away and everything, and we also have a very awkward scene where it's the one where it's like DeVito's telling him to get rid of the baby. It's like a weird abortion. It's before. It's not really abortion.
They barely talk about that.
No, but there's a bit. He's like, you got to get rid of it. Gotta get rid of it.
Well, that was before it.
That was before that
yeah.
scene, but it was still weird. It was a bit weird, and he's like, no, I'm gonna keep it, and you're just like, okay.
Because he's become an emotional woman now.
Well, yeah, because then you get a whole heap of scenes of. From this point on, it kind of goes. It's just a bit weird because it's just awkward.
Danny takes him to a women's health spa sort of thing.
There's other things too. This is before that. Before that point.
Yeah.
It's all the weird scenes before that point.
We don't talk about every scene.
Well, I'm just saying it's like where Arnie is saying like, I want to see a psychic now. I believe in psychics. And
yeah,
it's just like, that's so random.
that he's acting like a weird stereotypical Hollywood pregnant woman.
A Hollywood
where
version,
he's thrown reason and sort of science out the window and he's going with, feelings and shit.
Yes.
It's weird.
DeVito's wife, ex-wife, also does find out about them too. And she says one of the strangest lines ever, so she walks in on DeVito like touching Arnie's belly, I think.
Oh yeah, because Danny's feeling the baby kick through Arnold's muscles,
and she goes, "What are you, a twosome?"
Yeah, why wouldn't you just say a couple?
Yeah.
Twosome just seems so weird.
And then he says, "I'm going to be a mummy too," and it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
So, yes.
We're saying it's a bit weird a lot.
It is.
But this whole movie is a bit weird.
So there was something I did point out was, and this is the thing, play more comedy in this film.
Yeah.
Do it as Rob Schneider. And I said, why at this point, where we're told that, he's having so many hormones that it would be a transitioning man to a woman. And you're like, okay.
Where's the scene of him looking in the mirror and screaming as he realizes he has a huge pair of boobs?
That's what I was saying. I said
that would be comedy.
I said give him a
terrible,
fake pair of,
terrible comedy.
Terrible. We're talking about lowbrow comedy here, right? But you know what?
But that would have sort of fit.
Just do it. This is what your film is about: Arnold Schwarzenegger becoming a woman and giving birth.
Don't take it seriously.
No. Give him a huge pair of fake prosthetic tits.
Yeah,
huge, right? And make a joke about it. Make him do stupid stuff, but don't try and be like, let's talk about abortion a little bit. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't tackle heavy stuff. That's why I even wrote down, I said, why don't they just give him a fake pair of tits? And they eventually do, way too late.
Do they?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
They eventually do, once
he has to blend in with the...
Yeah, he goes to a...
women's clinic place.
For pregnant?
For pregnant women?
I think.
For very rich pregnant women to sort of wait to have birth at.
Yeah, and they all do, according to the montage,
weird Hollywood stuff.
Hollywood hippie stuff.
Yeah, they sit around, talk about each other's feelings and stuff. And Arnold starts to fit in because he's becoming a woman.
And this is the one of the only points where it's a stretch of the film, a very small stretch.
Yeah.
Where I feel they are playing purely the comedy aspect of Arnie being dressed up with fake tits, with everything, and doing the, hippie stuff. Oh, I'm smashing a baby on a table. And I was like, finally they've realized it's a comedy. And some of those scenes were funny. And I had multiple laughs for a very small period of time. And I thought, they've got it. And that's it, though. That's the only point where I really think
you were the only one laughing.
No, Tim laughed too.
Okay.
It was the only point in the film, this tiny little montage scene where I was like, oh,
they're having fun.
They're having fun with what they're doing because it's over the top of him being a pregnant woman. Finally.
Yeah.
But that's like a 2-minute scene.
And then it goes back to them smuggling him into the fertility clinic so he can give him a C-section.
Yeah.
which is yeah. And then the wife, the Danny DeVito's ex-wife, gives birth at the same time. Yeah. And then it cuts to like
they're at the beach
a year later, and everything's perfectly fine, and they've got the kids, and they're playing together, and Emma's pregnant, and I'm guessing there was no fallout from the fact these people have done some incredibly unethical human research.
But we already know DeVito already sold it.
Yeah, so he's already sold it to the companies.
They're fucking rich.
Yeah. And of course, the whole thing ends with, Danny, you should give your kid a little brother or sister.
And then he runs off.
It doesn't necessarily have to be your wife who gives birth, because they've gotten back together, of course.
Yeah.
Because the baby fixes everything, Jared.
It's funny too. It's like the Arnie and Emma bit. We don't even need to talk about how they fall in love, because there wasn't any drama. There wasn't.
Yeah, they just fall straight in love.
It was just clear.
Well, she gets a little miffed that he is giving birth to her child.
Barely.
But almost straight away. Yes. Like, they have a little back and forth, and then she goes, well, I don't know about you, but I don't want to have a kid with someone I've never had sex with. Where's your room? Just straight up.
Kind of strange, since her whole project, I think, was about surrogate.
No, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
I don't know what her project was exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. She just had lots of eggs.
Yeah. Lots of her own eggs.
But that's what I mean. Like, that love thing, it's not really... There's no, like, drama.
It was fine.
But what I'm saying is, like...
It wasn't that bad.
There's no, like, oh, will she, like, still love him or something? And it's like, no, she's just like, oh, no. I guess we better have sex then.
Yeah.
So, okay. And, yeah, that's the movie.
I cannot think of anything else.
Well, the other thing I did want to point out, when I was looking up the movie, it was nominated for...
Well, those nominations, it's very political, Jared. I'm guessing it wasn't because it was
because
good.
They put themselves... I think they have to put themselves forwards for the nominees.
I have no idea.
I think they like have to...
I do not know. I've never even watched those things.
Because they were nominated for, like, Golden Globes for, like, comedy.
Yeah.
That was Arnie and Emma. Both of them had, like, nominees for that. And I was like, really? Really? Fucking... Like, again, Emma Thompson hated her character.
Yeah.
Did she play her role really well? Yeah, she did. She played her role probably the best. I felt she played it well.
They're all likable.
Are they? Well, I just said I hated a character.
Oh no, the characters are terrible, but you can imagine the actors are okay.
Arnie, I like Arnie for that 2-minute montage scene.
He seems to be acting like a woman seriously, but
that's why I like it.
But just ridiculously at the same time.
But they didn't play the ridiculous angle. That's the problem with this movie. It is a movie that is about Arnold Schwarzenegger. It is a
boring drama.
Exactly. It's a movie that is about Arnold Schwarzenegger giving birth with Danny DeVito, who should be acting more like the dad for some reason. Like, that's what he should be acting like. But instead, you just get a serious, like, a boring drama about...
FDA regulations and how to... You gotta go to all the conventions and network with the companies to make your drug.
And kind of... demeaning and insulting towards women about women's rights, I think.
Not just women's rights, but the way they act.
Yeah.
They're overly emotional.
I would say, let's just say demeaning and insulting towards everybody. I honestly...
Yeah, I don't think anyone came out of this movie looking good.
I couldn't figure out what messages they were trying to give. Because that's the awkward bit.
Because they were talking about men not understanding, like, women giving birth and pain and stuff a couple of times, but...
Yeah.
But both Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger are fertility doctors.
Yeah.
Like, Danny's working with women giving birth, like, daily.
I just don't know what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So that's Junior. I didn't find it
I did not enjoy that at all.
Okay. So
I would not watch that again.
Would you suggest it as a so good it's bad movie?
Because
it's
dull.
It's dull.
It's dull. I didn't find that entertaining at all.
I reckon it is a dull movie. It's got its very rare moments.
Something like Catwoman, bad, but I enjoyed it. It was very entertaining. This is just dull.
But what I'll say is, yes, totally agree. It's a dull movie. Nothing really much actually happens, which is a surprise.
Watch the go onto YouTube. Watch the highlights. Watch the highlights of like little baby Schwarzenegger coming out.
I'm sure if you watch like the best of Junior, you'll get the baby scene and
my body, my rights, that sort of thing.
Yeah, you'll probably get the scene of the baby screaming. Him saying his nipples are sensitive.
Out of like 2 hours, there's maybe 5 minutes of watchable footage.
So it's not, the rest is a boring drama.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I wasn't totally bored out of my mind, just because even though it was a boring drama, at least I could kind of follow it.
The whole Aerosmith thing, where it's like, he hates Aerosmith, but then it turns out it's not even Aerosmith.
Let's just cut out the ex-wife completely, DeVito's side of that. That was just so useless.
I don't know, yeah.
Or do something different. But I would say that's a wrap on this movie.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've already forgotten this movie.
Yeah, I have forgotten enjoy it.
Large parts of this movie.
Alright, so that's a wrap. Thanks for everyone for listening.